Tracy Parr with the Midday News. 33 men have been sentenced to 6 months imprisonment for fighting at Sarambang village in Finchafen, Morobe province. The incident, believed to be related to a major hydro project at the Barum local level government, resulted in the death of a man and the burning down of 20 houses. During the retaliation, 2 locals suffered spear and knife wounds, and 20 houses were burnt to the ground, displacing over 100 men, women, and children. Assistant Commissioner of Police for Northern Command, Peter Jennings, said, apart from the 33 convicts, 12 suspects were apprehended when they were traveling by road back to Leh. They had their court appearance on Monday, August 14. They are remanded at Boimu as well. Governor for Henga, Sir Peter Ipatas, along with the National Cultural Commission's Executive Director, Stephen Kilanda, officially launched the remote Malamata Yapo Cultural Festival. Kilanga declared the festival as a national recognized event, presenting an official certificate of recognition to mark the occasion. With the certificate, Kilanga officially opened the festival and also pledged 10,000 kina to support the hosting of the event. Governor Ipatas expressed his admiration for the festival cultural display and the unity it fostered within the remote Malamatai community. He acknowledged the crucial role of culture and tradition in bolstering tourism and investment in the region.
Money come last door.
The state has paid 60 million kina to settle outstanding rental arrears as per an agreement reached between the state and NHSL last year. The state had committed to settling its total rental arrears through monthly installments of 5 million kina for the road arrears and 5 million for current rentals.
That it has received payment of 60 million kina from the state. The state's total rental areas owing to NSL is expected to be fully cleared, with its account brought to current by June 2024 if the state continues to honor the promised payment of 10 million kina per month. NSL says it is committed to working closely with the state to ensure that their outstanding rental areas are settled as agreed in the payment schedule. NSL appreciates that the state has given priority, among its other liabilities, to the retirement outcomes of number 1 super members, many of whom are public servants working in the departments occupying NSL-owned buildings. Number 1 super members are the hard-working teachers, health workers, police officers, firefighters, public servants, and private sector employees that support the development of this country through their contributions to education, health, internal security, government services, and private business. Susan Oriape, TVWan News.
In regional news, fire-hardened communities in southern Queensland are putting their battle plans in place for the bushfire season ahead. They're bracing for an early start and testing conditions with firefighters, warning there's no room for complacency.
The memories of smoke and encroaching flames are still fresh for people on Queensland's Western Downs. Phil Kramer's property was one of a dozen severely damaged in the February bushfires.
It was very emotional. It all happened really, really fast. There was no time to think, it was just time to act.
He's not willing to risk it all again this bushfire season.
It's just about preparing for chaos, preparing for the worst, knowing that it can happen to us, and mitigating that.
Firefighters are predicting a long and dangerous season. There are fears heavy fuel loads and hot, dry days could combine for conditions last seen in 2019 when bushfires raged around Stanthorpe in early spring.
We're in what's called a bit of a snap drought at the moment. We haven't had rain for some time, and that's just expanding on what the conditions were as we led up until August now. So we're in for another potentially very dangerous fire season.
Firefighters and rangers have conducted planned burns over winter, but the window for further action is closing.
Our planned burning has been trying to target strategically across the landscape where we can actually maybe help pull up wildfires later in the season. But that'll just depend where the wildfires are.
That means it's important to know what to do when disaster strikes. Communities are being warned to plan now for the approaching fire season, securing their properties, knowing how to protect their homes and knowing when to leave.
What we're all sort of bracing ourselves for is very hot, fast-running fires when we do get very windy days.
A call to arms for those on the land.
One of Australia's oldest industrial hubs is reinventing itself as a renewable energy centre. The federal government has begun the processes of planning the second offshore wind farm zone in New South Wales in the Illawarra, as the region also welcomes a cutting-edge technology set to dramatically alter heavy industry.
The Energy Minister came to the Illawarra with a new vision for the Coal Coast.
Today I'm announcing the beginning of public consultation about the Illawarra's offshore wind zone.
It's one of 6 regions across Australia identified for offshore wind. The proposed zone covers almost 1,500 square kilometres, from the northern suburbs of Wollongong to just south of Kiama. It's expected to generate enough energy to power 3.4 million homes and create more than 1,200 ongoing jobs.
Areas like Illawarra will be at the centre of Australia's future as a renewable energy export powerhouse.
And a local business has secured federal government support to help turn water into energy.
Hysata is an electrolyser company. An electrolyser is the device that splits water, H2O, into hydrogen and oxygen. Hysata has developed a way to do that in a really energy efficient manner. In fact, we use 20% less energy than any incumbent electrolyser today.
The Australian company has opened its new factory in Port Kembla.
The company behind this technology believes it could be the key to decarbonising heavy industry and turn Australia into a global player in the development of green hydrogen.
To some extent it will be as an energy carrier, taking renewable electricity, solar and wind, converting it into hydrogen to store it and then reuse it later on as a fuel.
A Queensland power station will receive one of Hysata's first electrolysers in 2025. But the goal is to use them to create steel, removing the carbon from one of the world's most energy-intensive industries.
Mark Latham has been dumped as leader of One National in New South Wales in an criminals move by federal leader Pauline Hanson. Senator Hanson has cited a poor result at the state election for a decision to sack Mr. Latham and insult herself on the state executive instead.
One Nation divided. After months of tensions between the two, Pauline Hanson says she's sacked her New South Wales leader, Mark Latham. Senator Hanson has released a statement saying she's replaced the state executive leadership team and removed Mr. Latham as parliamentary leader, blaming state election results, which she says saw One Nation's vote drop by 14%. In a Facebook post, Mark Latham says the move was without consultation or due process and cited Senator Hanson's own drop in popularity, saying if she is worried about underperformance, her best solution is to buy a mirror.
The party's always had a problem with internal democracy, and this just seems to be another chapter in that tale.
Mark Latham is being sued for defamation over a graphic tweet sent earlier this year to Independent MP Alex Greenwich. At the time, Pauline Hanson condemned the tweet and issued a please explain.
I've actually tried to ring Mark a couple of times to no avail, and I have clearly sent a text message to him telling him my views.
Mark Latham's statement indicates he'll stay on as a member of One Nation. He's one of 3 New South Wales Upper House One Nation MPs. And while Pauline Hanson says he's no longer the leader of the parliamentary party, Mark Latham says that's up to his colleagues to decide. Mr Latham was also federal Labor leader in the early 2000s, but resigned after losing the 2004 election. Today's developments prompted this rebuke from Liberal MP Matt Keane. Mark Latham is nothing but a toxic failure. Instead of searching for a 4th party to join, he should reflect on his latest political disaster and get out of politics. Mr Latham says he'll have more to say next week.
In sports, PNG Hair National Athletics Championships concluded successfully at the Sir John Guy Stadium on Sunday, August 13, with some credible good times recorded in the sprints and middle and long distance race. The National Championships is being used as a platform to finalize the team for this year's Pacific Games in Honiara. The championship started on Friday, 11th August, and it concluded with medal presentations. Approximately 70 athletics and para-athletics from various clubs completed. Athletics PNG President Tony Green said the Nationals is very important in giving coaches some perspective on where athletics are headed in terms of form, fitness and commitment. Also how hard they have been training in the lead-up to the Pacific Games in the Solomon Islands.
We've been working for quite a while now for preparing our team for the games. So we obviously have a good idea now what the team's going to look like, but there are still a few places to finalise. So we'll be announcing our team after this event. We do have all the athletes that are in contention for the games. They're all here, including the US-based athletes. And the 3 girls who are training in Australia, Relly Caputin, Adrian Manaki and Sharon Toako. So yeah, we're looking forward to a really good competition, and I think especially the men's running events, they look to be very competitive from the sprints right through to the long distance events.
Solomon Islands Prime Minister Manasseh Sogavare has unveiled the Pacific Games 2023 baton and also launched the 100-day baton relay last Friday. The paddle-shaped baton will be flown to all 9 provinces with the courtesy of Solomon Airlines. The baton will return to the National Stadium on the 19th of November, the date of the official opening of the Games. The unveiling the baton and launching the 100-day baton relay. Prime Minister Sogavare stated that the next 100 days, when the baton travels around the country, the Games organizing committee and National Hosting Authority will enter the most critical phase of the Games preparations. Thanks for your company. Join us at 6 for more.